Embattled New York Congressman George Santos is now defending himself against new allegations he took money intended for a disabled veteran's dying dog. The freshman Republican is also now denying he performed as a drag queen in Brazil. NBC Garrett Haig is following all of this for us from Capitol Hill.
Under investigation and under fire for a growing sea of scandals. New York Congressman George Santos now taking to Twitter to defend himself and to deny reports he performed in drag in Brazil in the late 2000s. Two Brazilian sources tell NBC News that this is Santos, then using the drag name Kitara, seen here being interviewed at a gay pride parade in a suburb of Rio de Janeiro in 2007. Santos, now the first openly gay House Republican, tweeting that any claims he was a drag queen or performed in drag are a, quote, media obsession and categorically false. Santos also pushing back against reporting that he walked away with $3,000 raised on a GoFundMe to pay for surgery for a disabled veteran's service dog, Sapphire. That veteran, Richard Osthoff, telling NBC News that Santos' charity, Friends of Pets United, set up the donation website. But when it came time for the surgery, Osthoff says Santos refused to hand over the money. Osthoff was forced to put Sapphire down instead.
It's disgusting. It's horrible. He should be ashamed of himself, but he doesn't have shame. He's a psychopath.
Santos calling reports he would let a dog die, quote, shocking and insane, adding, these distractions won't stop me. But Santos faces at least 5 different investigations, some by law enforcement, that might. Any criminal indictment or action by the House Ethics Committee could force Santos off his newly assigned committees. And if Santos stays in Congress long enough to face voters again next year, Democrats say they won't be fooled again by his falsehoods.
The election of a complete charlatan like George Santos, who's almost a caricature unto himself, should be a shock and a jolt to the system. It should be a wake-up call for the Democratic Party in New York State.
This morning, embattled New York Congressman George Santos caught in another lie. The freshman Republican claiming on his campaign website that his mother survived the tragic events of September 11th from her office in the World Trade Center's South Tower, even making her 9/11 story part of his campaign stump speech.
I'm a son of 2 immigrants. I am the grandchild of Holocaust survivors and the son of a 9/11 survivor.
But immigration records provided to NBC News by a genealogical researcher show Santos' mother, Fatima Devolder, left the United States for Brazil in 1999 and did not return until 2003, placing her more than 4,000 miles from ground zero on the day of the attack. That revelation coming on the same day a disabled Navy veteran accused Santos of walking away with $3,000 in GoFundMe cash, raised to pay for life-saving surgery for his service dog, Sapphire.
He was almost too nice. I knew there was something up with him.
Richard Osthoff says he was connected with Santos' charity, Friends of Pets United, in 2016 to help raise money for an operation he could not afford. When it came time for the surgery, he says, Santos refused to hand over the money, and Rostov was instead forced to put Sapphire down.
I was so livid that I realized that this guy is now a serving congressman. He doesn't deserve that job. It's horrendous that he could lie and steal and cheat his way through life.
Santos has not responded to questions from NBC News about either allegation. But he did tell the website Semaphore that Osthoff's story was, quote, fake.
What's the level of frustration right now?
Very high. I think it was above and beyond what many politicians do, exaggerate a little bit. What he did was criminal.
Would you like Speaker McCarthy and the Republican leadership to freeze him out, to ask him to resign? I mean, does something more need to happen from that level?
Yes, I think they should get rid of him. They should vote him out. On the House level.
Port Washington, New York, Schreiber High School in Long Island's Nassau County is in the heart of Representative George Santos' 3rd Congressional District.
I think he's an embarrassment and a pathological liar.
We sit down with a group of AP US history students at Schreiber High. They are 16 and 17, which means they will all be old enough to vote in 2024.
How many of you would register as an independent if you registered today? How many of you would register as a Democrat? How many of you would register as a Republican?
Their history teacher estimates Republican-leaning students are outnumbered by Democratic-leaning students by an almost 2-to-1 margin at the school. But
I haven't found one kid who is sympathetic to George Santos. They know the importance of the numbers in the House of Representatives, and although Santos represents them for issues that they agree on, they don't have sympathy toward the man.
16-year-old Tej Parek is one of the future Democrats.
I think it's a very scary situation for us, having someone who's so clearly lied and so clearly fabricated his entire resume, representing all of us.
16-year-old Nathan Jackman is one of the future Republicans.
I like how the Nassau GOP came out against him, but obviously Kevin McCarthy should come out against him, and they should have a vote on the House floor in order to expel him from Congress.
We asked the teacher if we could watch a class discussion about Santos.
It definitely places some mistrust on your political party.
These are junior AP students.
First of all, what is your initial reaction to knowing that your representative's integrity has been called into question? Romero.
It's kind of shocking because how could you trust them? How could you, if you can lie about just like your life and everything you've done, how can you trust them to do the right thing?
How are his lies perhaps different than others, or is it fair game to lie in politics?
I mean, I think one of the worst things that he lied about, in my opinion, is lying about the origin of his family, being that they were from they were survivors of the Holocaust.
Well, I think that it's an obvious choice given that we live in a community where there's lots of Jewish people. We live in New York, that's where 9/11 happened. He's using things directly correlated to our lives to make himself sound better because we have emotional attachment to these events.
Especially in politics, like your reputation's always going to stick with you. Everyone's going to remember him as, oh, he's the guy that lied about everything and still got into Congress.
Has it gotten to a point in politics where we don't really care about integrity?
Well, you think about it with, like, because we'll be applying to colleges soon. If a college found out that we lied about everything on our application, they would immediately kick us out, but he lied about everything and he's going to get to say it, so it's like we're being held to a higher standard of integrity than politicians in this country.
Before we leave Schreiber High, we ask our panel of students this question.
You're a constituent of Congressman Santos. If you could say one thing to him, what would you say to him?
I just want to know why he felt the need to do all this.
What would you say to him?
If you really want to represent our district and you care about the voters and the people, you should resign.
What would you say?
Resign to keep democracy working properly.
You?
Apologize and resign now. It's enough.
You?
For the good of the constituents of New York's 3rd, resign.
You?
For your district and for your party, resign.
You?
Step down.
So we want to spend some time on Santos' 9/11 claims with John Feal, 9/11 first responder at the World Trade Center, whose Feel Good Foundation assists emergency personnel who have faced injury and illness. Also, Nakia Morgan, whose mom died on 9/11 and whose remains were not identified until 20 years later. John, let me start with you. What is your reaction to Santos lying about 9/11?
Well, I mean, we got a lot to unpack here, right? I mean, he's the Forrest Gump of common. I mean, the Holocaust, Pulse nightclub, veterans, dogs, 9/11. There's nothing sacred to this man. And for every organization, every group, every background that he's hurt, he did it maliciously for self-gain, and it's repugnant, it's repulsive, it's vile, and this doesn't end well for him.
It wasn't just lying to just be a fabulist. It was lying to develop a, help your political career, or lying to make money allegedly from a GoFundMe page.
Yeah, to capitalize on other people's pain, whether it's for political gain or financial gain, to continue this throughout his adult life. I don't have, listen, I know this is a cable show, and I can get colorful, but I do not want to start using 4-letter words about this man, and I'm disgusted. And, I probably had about 300-400 text messages and emails today. Most of them were from widows. And one thing I learned about 18 years ago in the 9/11 community, you don't tick off a 9/11 widow. And these women who are generally peaceful, they want blood. And then, we want to be left alone. We're a finite number in the 9/11 community. We're getting smaller. We lose somebody on average every day, and we're disrespected. And I pray that leadership, that Kevin McCarthy finds that last ounce of dignity and does the right thing. And I don't think that will happen. I just been going to D.C. for the last 18, 19 years, and this is the Republican Party. And I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. This is about an evil man who maliciously lied, cheated, conned, and didn't care the trail that he left behind. And to me, it's un-American, it's unpatriotic. And for him to be so smug and so arrogant and say he has not once exonerated himself. All he says is that this isn't true, this isn't. Let me tell you something. He's not built for prison. And that's where he's going. And his nickname will be Pudding.
Nikki, the last time you and I spoke, your mom's had just been found after 20 years, which is extraordinary.
Yeah.
And first of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, a lot better as days go by until something like this takes place. And it just brings the outrage out all over again in a different way. Because you're saddened by the fact, but then you're disgusted that someone takes this as losing my mother to say that your mother was there. It's hurtful, and to use that, it's just disgusting.
Does it surprise you that he's still in Congress?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. He should be gone. There's no reason why he is there on everything, all the lies. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And then to use something like that impacted the world, and to say what your mom, that just.
Am I right in that he's actually your congressman?
Yes.
You live in his district?
Yes, 3rd district.
Did you know, like, when he was running? I mean, did anything about it stand out to you?
It did not, unfortunately. Unfortunately, really didn't. And I have to hold myself responsible for that, but not looking into it myself. And,
Look, we're all, I didn't know about it.
Right,
We all,
right. But just to use that, it's just repulsive.
You guys vetted me harder today to come on your show with a pre-interview to do the interview than George Santos was vetted.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, no, it's a failure on so many levels. I mean, it's unbelievable.
But she's one of over 3,000 who lost a loved one that day. That wound is opened over and over again, and every time you think that scab is going to heal, this man, his face, his words, his actions, caused this woman more pain. That's unacceptable.
And this is our congressman.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. There's no other way to describe that, just being disgusting.
John, did you ever think that we would be at a place where, in this day and age, that a sitting member of Congress can lie about a personal connection to 9/11 and it not be an instant torrent of people saying, okay, enough.
Let me age myself here, because when I first started going to D.C., there were blue dog Democrats, moderate Republicans, conversations. Now they're just blank crazy. And
the sides are so polarized.
And we are at blank crazy right now. And he is an example of what's wrong with Congress. And he's an example of what's working its way out to mainstream America. We got to stop it. Stop the bleeding now. Kevin McCarthy can easily fix this. He can fix this. And if Kevin, if you're watching and if you're listening, be a man up, show the leadership that you were voted in for, and do the right thing. This man is leaving a trail of pain behind him, and nobody's doing anything about it.
John Field, Nikki Morgan, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's so good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, John. A new front in the governor of Florida's culture war, but a familiar subject, Ron DeSantis, targeting studies against, again, that deal with race. Now his administration is failing to adequately explain why. We'll talk about this when we return.